Agaya and Ubuntu. Agaya and Ubuntu. Welcome, everyone, to our Ecospiritual News live stream. I believe this is up and running. That is very good. I'm happy to see all of that. If you're joining on the live chat, please do go ahead and share your where you are listening in from, so that we can get a sense of the global community that's gathering here. You can do that on the live chat on YouTube. If you're watching this later, feel free to add that in the comments along with any other suggestions you might have. So our typical sequence of events here, I'll be sharing a little bit of today's news and commentary of recent events from an eco-spiritual perspective. That is, what should we take from this with our hearts centered in a place of earth care? I'll tell you about some of the upcoming global events, prioritizing Novasutras, but also some other relevant events that you might get involved with. I'll suggest some actions that you can take this week. I'm going to talk you through, my plan for this week is to talk you through a specific practice that will enhance your personal eco-spiritual journey. And that will lead into a little guided nature reconnection meditation. And then if we want, if we want to share local events or anything else in chat, I will look for those at the close of this live stream and see what's there. So Novasutras is a community to enact change. We welcome any eco-spiritual perspective, any perspective that is focused on spiritual connection with the entirety of the living earth. A spirituality that decenters humans and recognizes that we are part of an integrated biosphere. We come together to reawaken our deep connection with this living world so that we can reclaim our joy, so that we can honor our pain for what is going on in the world, so that we can grow trusted relationships and build the community that we need to help us take meaningful action in service to all life. So let's talk a little bit about some of the ways that you can participate in this eco-spiritual community. Unfortunately, you've just missed our meditation for regeneration. That's been happening about once a month through the Deep Transformation Network. And I will be working with them, and we might be changing the schedule on that, but look for those coming up soon. And those are a chance not only to meditate together, but to join us on Zoom for a little bit of conversation before and after, again, building that community. And of course, this is what we're up to right now. Unitarian Universalist Ministry for the Earth is offering a meditation session tomorrow morning. These times are listed for Pacific time. So West Coast of North America. So, adjust that according to where you are. On Deep Transformation Network, there will be a workshop on the inner development goals tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And then I'll be offering a meditation via Insight Timer that's coming up later on in the day tomorrow. I'm just going to show you what that will look like if you follow the link and you're using a laptop or desktop computer. You'll go into this. You won't see the early entry for the host, but you will see enter live stream, or you'll see that it's coming up. So that's one day and about 3 hours from now. Carrying on Friday, September 15th is World Cleanup Day. So a day to go help clean up rivers and beaches and other natural places, cleaning up litter. That is such a beautiful way to serve and care for the earth, and such a powerful reminder that we humans have so much to learn. The fact that so much of what we do in the world today creates the kinds of waste that can harm wildlife, that can persist in the ocean for tens of years, perhaps hundreds or thousands of years for some plastics. So participating in a local cleanup in your area can be a very deep practice of perhaps repentance, a reminder to be very careful about the objects that you encourage the creation of in the first place. When we talk about how to take care of the earth, you might hear, reduce, reuse, recycle as a way to think about the products that you buy. And that first step is the most powerful. Reducing the frequency of buying things, reducing, therefore, the demand for production of things. A lot of the harm that is done by plastics has to do with extraction of the fossil fuels that make the plastics and the plastic production process itself. It's highly toxic to workers and the local environment where it happens. A lot of plastic bits get released and wind up in the waste stream before they become products. Reusing things is a way to, of course, not buy things as frequently. There's this great way to remember it. Use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. So a lot of people don't realize how much things like clothing have plastics in them. If you have nylon or polyester clothing, those are plastics. If you are discarding your clothing after just a couple of months of wear, you are contributing to plastic pollution. So thinking about ways that you can tend and mend and repair and best maintain things like clothing so that you're not purchasing as much of it, so that it doesn't wind up in the waste stream as often. Huge difference. Okay, so again, Friday, World Cleanup Day, and a day to think about the material stream. Another great resource for that would be all of the resources available on the Story of Stuff website. Middle of the month, we also do our Novasutras group reconnection meditation on Insight Timer. So if you have the Insight Timer app and can join the Novasutras group there, then we will come together to do a nature reconnection meditation, just to listen to that and have some opportunity to chat with one another on Friday the 15th. Saturday the 16th is annual Coastal Cleanup Day, tied in with World Cleanup Day again. The 17th is the start of well, actually, some actions, I believe, are starting on September 15th. But there is a wave of actions in the U.S. Calling on government to end the permitting of new fossil fuel exploration and extraction. The listing that I have here is for an event in Sacramento, California. So if you can make it to Sacramento, California on the 17th, join me there. There will be a lot going on as we call for an end to fossil fuel extraction in California. There's an even larger event planned for New York City. So if you're on the East Coast of the US, please find out more about that and participate if you can. And then the following week will be all Climate Action Week. On September 19th, the Deep Transformation Network offers listening space. Probably need to check on the availability of that. On September 21st, Deep Transformation Network will be hosting Heart-Centered Conversation. Both of these are essentially spaces for kind of deep connection and community building. Again, something we need so powerfully in these times of disruption and change. Our big event for Novasutras is September 22nd, where we will celebrate the equinox. We'll do it at the moment of the first quarter moon. So I want to take a little time to talk about the equinox celebration. It also falls on World Peace Day. I'm sorry. World Peace Day is the day before, but that's typically right around the September equinox. We in Novasutras focus on these celebrations at the equinoxes, the solstices, and the cross quarters, because these are times that are true for everyone on Earth, as a time that is sort of a noticeable time of transition. So the equinoxes are the 2 days of the year when the sun is crossing the celestial equator. So basically, the tilt of the Earth's axis means that that the sun is kind of shining directly at the side of the Earth. So everyone, everywhere on Earth experiences about an equal length of day and night, whether you're on the northern or southern hemisphere of the Earth. Everywhere on Earth, the sun and the sunlight and dark are about equal length. Just a little bit more brightness than dark, because the sun is not just a tiny point in the sky, but a disk. So we have those extra minutes of sunrise and sunset that everyone experiences. Because on the equinox, the sun is directly over the equator, most directly overhead at the equator. It is shining directly on the equatorial rainforests of the world in these days, during, before, and after the equinox. So the equinox celebration includes a celebration of these equatorial rainforests. As someone who has worked in equatorial rainforests, I will be focusing on a guided meditation that gives you a sensory experience of what it's like to be in those rainforests. As we know, the equinoxes are seasonal transitions. If you're in temperate or Arctic or Antarctic zones, these can be major transitions. We find many animals migrating at this time, following the sun to where there will be warmer temperatures. Others prepare for the season where they are. If you've been watching the live bear cams that were mentioned in an earlier Agaya and Ubuntu connection, you'll see that they're starting to get really fat now because they are getting ready for their winter hibernation. So our themes for equinoxes include balance, because there is this balance between day and night that everyone on Earth is experiencing. Global unity, because this is something that everyone on Earth experiences. The focus on Earth's 3 green hearts on the equatorial rainforests. Because everywhere on Earth, the sun will rise at the precise due east and set at precise due west. It's a good time to really think about getting yourself oriented, setting a pathway, finding your directions in the world. But it's also, of course, a time of transition, transience, change, migration, and preparedness. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, this September equinox is a great time to celebrate emergence and pollination. And for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, to celebrate the abundance of the harvest and to think about protection in times of challenge to come. So again, that will be kind of wrapping up Climate Action Week. Then on September 24th, it's World Gorilla Day. So another chance to think about the equatorial rainforests of Africa, specifically from the mountain gorillas in Eastern Africa across the Congo Basin with the lowland gorillas there. And the online Earth Holder Sangha will meet also on September 24th. September 25th on Deep Transformation Network will be this co-creation of deep practice space. September 26th, there may or may not be a Climate Cafe gathering that day, so do check back on that one. And then I've already scheduled our next Agaya and Ubuntu connection for 2 weeks from when this broadcast happens. So we'll be gathering then. So I realized I kind of went into global events and skipped what I wanted to say about the news and commentary for the week. Again, I'm trying to keep these as underprepared and unscripted as possible, just to make them more accessible and available to people to be able to do them as often as I can manage. So, so it's always a little bit of a work in progress right now. If you want to change that, you can get involved to help support us, either by getting involved as a Novasutras uplifter, a volunteer. If you've got skills in scripting or production for live stream events like this, would love your help. Would love to have other people who can host these if you want to work with me on what that might look like, and have experience hosting something like this. So to get us into news and commentary, I wanted to talk a little bit about this wonderful site, earth.nullschool.net, that, as I understand it, gives real-time weather data for the entire globe. You can actually look at, I believe this is showing surface level wind speeds. You can see Hurricane Lee still spinning strongly here in the Western Atlantic, and in the mid-Atlantic, this incoming hurricane, whose name I have forgotten, but another one is forming out in the Atlantic. And up until a couple of days ago, you could see the cyclonic activity here in the Eastern Mediterranean that led to these devastating flooding event in Libya, nearly wiping out, I think it was 1/4 of a major city. They know the death toll is in the many thousands, but it will take months to really understand the extent of the destruction and devastation there in Libya. This same storm had also caused flooding in Italy and Greece and Turkey, because of the remarkable, I believe, record-breaking warmth in both the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. We are seeing these very strong tropical storms forming. Lee was particularly noteworthy for rapid intensification, going from Category 1 to Category 5 very, very quickly. And now, thankfully, cooling off a little and settling down before it's likely to approach populated areas. But I expect is already affecting Bermuda and the Bahamas somewhat. It will be approaching Bermuda on its way north, and then might very likely have some major effects on the eastern seaboard of North America. So we know that these frequency and intensity of storms like this is clearly attributable to global warming, that this is a result of the buildup of greenhouse gases leading to warmer temperatures in the air, and particularly now in the oceans. We're kind of starting to see where the ocean has taken in all of the heat that it can take without releasing it through these big storms. Not that every year is going to be like this year, but these are some of the predictions that we've had now for, scientists have known about this, have been warning about this coming for decades, and now we're starting to see those consequences. And these are devastating. They are devastating and lead to a lot of loss of human life. They are devastating to wildlife and habitats and ecosystems. The people who tend to suffer the most, just like the other beings that suffer the most, are those that are the least responsible. We know that the emissions of greenhouse gases are directly tied to the burning of fossil fuels that has been most intense in industrialized countries, led by large corporations and the fossil fuel industry itself. And that in terms of individuals with the biggest carbon footprints, those tend to be the ultra wealthy, even within wealthier countries. But it tends to be the poor, those who consume the least, who fly the least, who drive and heat their homes and have the least demand on the systems. Those people are the most likely to suffer. And this is an incredible injustice. That is why this is truly something that we must address from a spiritual level, in addition to the science, in addition to the activism, in addition to the politics. We need to open our hearts to what is happening to the world and open our minds to the possibility of profound change in our relationship, humans, and the rest of nature, starting to take our place more as a compassionate participant in the world than a destructive force. We can do that in part by coming together to do good in the world. Some of that is resisting harm, and some of that is protecting what is already recovering and attempting to thrive. Some of that is working for justice to reduce suffering in the world. So in August, I had put up this competition motivation to invite new Patreon supporters for Novasutras. We got $29 in new pledged support via Patreon from a couple of existing Patreon supporters. So we are able to, as we promised in August, we're going to use that to acquire 2 more hectares of Buga Tigapulu, 2 more hectares that we will support and protect on a monthly basis. Want to talk about some other actions that you can take this week. There are a whole list of actions. I might have brought this up on our last session, but there are a whole list of actions at rewild.org that I'd love for you to check out. A lot of these are just signing petitions for things going on all over the world. Another action that's happening right now for justice for people, particularly in the global south, in disadvantaged communities who are most likely to contract tuberculosis, are then unable to afford the diagnostic tests that can lead to a rapid cure for this very curable but challenging disease that still kills in the millions. So if you're familiar with the Vlog Brothers and Nerdfriteria, this is one of the actions that they're recommending, and I'd like to support that. They are targeting the companies that make the tests, the diagnostic tests that can help confirm whether or not someone has tuberculosis and what kind of antibiotics are most likely to be effective for their particular case of tuberculosis. We know that they can produce these test kits already for less than $5, and yet they're charging $15 per test kit. And that kind of extreme profit seeking at the expense of the lives of people who can't afford it is just painful. So going after this big company, Danaher, that can choose to reduce the price of those tuberculosis tests and make sure that everyone on Earth has access to the information that can stop this disease. So I encourage you to check that one out and help support that action this week, right now, if you can do it. And then, of course, we have the Climate Week actions coming up on September 17th. There's this one if you're in New York. And this one that I will be joining, and I encourage you to join if you can get to Sacramento, California. And just a reminder, if you have news, calendar items, or actions that you want to share, you can add them to the chat here in our live stream or leave them in the comments if you're watching this as a recording. You can also contact me through novasutras.org. Also, a reminder, if you are watching this on YouTube, do like the video, subscribe to the Novasutras channel, and share this video. Get other people engaged in eco-spirituality and eco-activism. And I want to talk a little bit now about our practice and philosophy, and one of the ways that we can keep ourselves strong and resilient to participate in these necessary actions to protect and defend the living earth. And that practice, sometimes known as forest bathing, forest immersion, but we like to call it by its Japanese name, Shinrin-yoku. Shinrin-yoku is a practice of immersing yourself in the sensory experience of time in the forest. When you do this, you are taking the time to open up your senses, to notice the beings around you in the forest, to be gentle with yourself, to slow down and appreciate beauty where you find it. This is a very powerful practice. There are a lot of studies that have shown tremendous benefits for mental well-being and for physical well-being, that it has physiological effects as well. So we strongly recommend incorporating Shinrin-yoku as part of your practice to build your own resilience, to build connection with the sacred beauty of the living world, to really experience what we call Agaya and Ubuntu. We encourage you to build into this practice a greeting for the beings that you encounter, wishing them well, offering this blessing that they might abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. So I want to talk a little bit about Agaya and Ubuntu. Agaya is the Novasutras term that recognizes the beauty and wonder of the world and our openness, our resonance with that beauty and wonder, with the vibrancy and interdependence of life. We, in fact, are opening ourselves to the possibility that the evolutionary splendor and creativity of life on Earth is an expression of transcendent love. One of the key factors in this is best captured in this word Ubuntu from the languages of Southern Africa. Ubuntu is the recognition of our interdependence, or what Thich Nhat Hanh referred to as our interbeing. The way that we are what we are only because of our relationships to other beings. So we can incorporate Agaya and Ubuntu into our Shinrin-yoku by taking the time to offer that blessing and then wait and sort of feel for a response to any being you might encounter, to the moss on a fence post, to a dragonfly moving through the air, to a calling crow or songbird on a branch high in a tree, to the ants forming lines as they move through the forest floor. You might even offer them a wish for something specific that they would appreciate or enjoy. Noticing a bush rabbit, I would offer it to be safe from threats and find abundant food for an abundant family. Encountering a scrub jay, I might offer that it fly to see beautiful places and trees laden with acorns to store for the coming season. And then again, pausing and seeing if there is some reciprocation of that blessing that you can hear or feel. What might that being wish for you, or what is it offering to you? And taking some time to just be in gratitude for its presence and its beauty. If you're not able to get out into a forest and practice Shinrin-yoku, I do have a pre-recorded meditation that you can find on Insight Timer called Walking in Agaya and Ubuntu. And I will include the link in the video description a little later on. You can also find that on our website just by looking up Shinrin-yoku or forest bathing, or looking at our meditations page. I really love this quote from forest bathing instructor Linda Lombardo. She said, "This forest walk is more than a walk in nature. It's a sacred activism to rebuild a regenerative culture, the kind of culture indigenous people knew, the kind of culture that perhaps our own ancestors knew. When nature becomes personal again, we will begin to heal ourselves and our relationship with nature, and then our real work can begin." Again, I encourage you to go to the Novasutras site. I will include the link directly to this Shinrin-yoku blog post, where we've got lots of resources about some of the health benefits, and more ways to learn about Shinrin-yoku practice and how you might get started. And again, even if you can't make it into the forest, just by doing a guided meditation, you can start to feel some of those benefits just by visualizing and imagining that sensory experience of being in the forest. You get some of the benefits of Shinrin-yoku. And if your ability to be out in nature is limited by your geographic, economic circumstances, by your physical circumstances, any kind of nature reconnection, maybe you can get out to a garden or just somewhere where you can look at or be close to one tree. That makes a difference. If all you have access to is a tiny houseplant, see if you can spend some time deeply engaging your senses and feeling that connection with just that one little plant. So to close us out, I'm going to offer a little guided meditation that will bring us into that kind of nature reconnection. Again, you can find a short nature reconnection meditation and the longer walking in Agaya and Ubuntu meditation on Insight Timer. Look for me, Michelle Merrill. And you can look for the Novasutras group on Insight Timer. But we'll do this one together now for just a few minutes. So when you're ready, start to settle your body down. You can lower your gaze, close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or just soften your gaze so that you can imagine being in that soft green light with dappled sunlight and shade under the branches of tall trees, together in a thriving forest. Let your body rest and get comfortable. Imagine you can breathe in the delicious smells of the forest. The sense of pine, that rich smell of the soft forest floor with its fallen leaves. Perhaps there are things in bloom in the forest where you are. You can smell the beautiful floral scents, beckoning pollinators to come and appreciate a gift of nectar in exchange for the gift of pollination. What does the forest sound like? Can you hear breezes rustling the treetops? Perhaps you can hear a forest stream nearby, the water almost giggling as it dances over rocks and branches. What does the air feel like? Is it cool and shady? Do you feel the warmth of the sun coming through the trees? Can you feel the moist breath of the trees on your skin? As you feel yourself accepted into this beautiful forest community, can you open yourself to all the delicious gifts the forest is offering you? Breathing in the oxygen in the moist air that the trees are exhaling. And offering your thanks as you breathe out, offering back the gift of carbon from your own body, the carbon that was once in your cells that can now be breathed in by the trees, the mosses, the flowering plants and grasses, so that they might build that into their own beautiful bodies, woven together, interbeing in Ubuntu, in this lovely reciprocity of gifts and blessings. And open yourself to joyful appreciation and deep, humble gratitude for all that the forests of the world offer us. Pledging that you too will abide in Agaya and Ubuntu. That you do what you can to protect, to preserve, to restore the forests of the world. That you will take the time to honor and appreciate the sacred beauty of the world's forests. You will send them your love and your blessings, that the forests of the world might recover and thrive and help the whole world to find healing. Healing the world's climate, healing all the people of the world, body, mind, and soul. And appreciate the healing coming to you from the loving forest. Feel that healing moving all through your body, up into your head, that you might make wise decisions and good choices that will encourage the world's thriving and reduce suffering. That healing moving across your shoulders, down your arms, out to your hands, that you might do good work in the world and offer your gifts in celebration and promise of the world's restoration and thriving. Feel that healing moving down through your torso, down into your legs, down to the very soles of your feet and the tips of your toes. That those legs and feet might help to bring you to the places where your gifts will be most welcome. And now start to bring just a little motion into those toes and fingers. Maybe moving and stretching the hands and the feet, the ankles and the wrists, the arms and the legs, the hips and the shoulders, the spine and neck, and bringing your awareness and focus back up toward your head. Be resting for a moment at that point right between your eyebrows. And very gently letting your eyes open if they've been closed. Bringing your focus back to the space that you're in. And looking for some reminders of the world's beauty in the space around you. Maybe it's just a favorite color or a piece of art, a houseplant, or some cut flowers, a companion animal, the view out the window, whatever that beauty is. Just let that be a reminder of Agaya and Ubuntu and all of the beauty that still remains in our precious world. Thank you for being part of the practice today. Thank you for all of the work that you do for Agaya and Ubuntu in our world. Don't forget to check out the events that are coming up. You can go to the Novasutras website to learn more about them. You can also find us on most of the social media channels. Again, if you want to help us out, share this video, share other information about Novasutras. You can go to the Novasutras website and look for information about becoming an uplifter, one of our volunteers that helps out. We could really use help with social media, with video production, like producing these videos, and just with other ways to get the word out and grow as an organization. If you're really inspired by this, we are looking for a working board, a group of people who can help us to get more established as a formal organization. So if that's something that moves you, please reach out to me. Let me know how I can contact you and talk with you more about this. So thank you so much for joining us for our Agaya and Ubuntu Connection Ecospiritual News session. Again, we'll have another one about 2 weeks from now, so look for it then. And in the meantime, join our other events that are coming up. Agaya and Ubuntu to you. We'll see you soon. Thank you for being here. May all beings abide in Ubuntu.